Begin with possible movement toward ending the war with Iran. Sources tell CBS News a memorandum of understanding between the U.S. and Tehran is likely to be signed next week. This signing of the document would kick off 60 days of peace deal negotiations between the two countries. President Trump told reporters about the potential agreement in the Oval Office yesterday.
We just made a great settlement of the war with Iran, and we're going to be subject to finalization of documents, which should get done over the next few days. We'll probably have a signing maybe in Europe.
However, overnight, an Iranian official said Tehran has not reached a final decision on a truce with the U.S. We've got team coverage on this for you this morning. Imtiaz Tyab is in Tel Aviv, Israel, with more on the international reaction. But let's first jump to CBS News White House reporter Aaron Navarro in our Washington bureau. Aaron, good morning. What more do we know about this memo and what it contains?
Errol, good morning. While there has been no firm commitment from Iran's side, we did see Iran's official state news agency confirm what other sources familiar with the diplomatic efforts told us yesterday. And this memorandum, if signed, would end the war across all regional fronts. It would open up the Strait of Hormuz and remove the underwater mines that Iran has laid down in the past couple of months. And according to sources familiar with these efforts, it would set the stage for 60 days of talks about Iran's enriched uranium, which could be used to build a nuclear weapon. That has been the major red line for President Trump that has really caused a rift and a gap between these two countries when it comes to reaching some sort of agreement. On principle, this memorandum would also have a principle that Iran would commit to not enriching uranium for 15 to 20 years, though, again, Iran says that they have not officially signed or agreed to anything.
Past few weeks and months, we've heard President Trump say the war will be over, only to be followed by more threats. What should viewers make of that?
Yeah, what was supposed to be 4 to 6 weeks when this conflict began has now ballooned to 15 weeks. And the president has been fairly consistent in being inconsistent at times when it comes to the timeline for when this war will end. Take a listen to what independent Congressman Kevin Kiley told our colleague Nancy Cordes yesterday.
Do you and your colleagues believe that this really is an agreement that would end hostilities in the war with Iran?
Well, I certainly hope so. People, I think, are a little tired of the whiplash, and there's skepticism about whether, that will lead to a durable solution. So what we really need in order to make sure that if this is coming together, as we hope it is, to assure that it lasts, is we need to have Congress centrally involved, we need to have our allies involved, we need to have the Gulf states involved.
Now, the president's difficulty in setting an actual timeline that is followed through on is an indicator that these two countries are still very apart in these negotiations, especially when it comes to Iran's enriched uranium and the overall fear from Republicans on Capitol Hill here in the U.S. that the deal could end up looking a lot like the nuclear deal reached under President Obama. But it's also a sign that the President Trump, is trying to portray at least control of this war, which has proven unpopular in domestic polling.
All right, Aaron Navarro kicking off our hour in Washington. Aaron, thanks. Let's jump to CBS News senior foreign correspondent Imtiaz Tyab. He's following developments in Tel Aviv. Imtiaz, good morning. President Trump hails this as a great settlement, but what is Tehran saying about this?
Well, Tehran's saying there's no deal, at least not yet. But here's the thing, Errol. We've been talking about this, as we're hearing in Aaron's live cross there, for 15 weeks now. This ceasefire, which has been in place for several weeks now, that a deal is close. That a deal is close. That a deal is close. I've been following this very closely. It does appear that things are moving in a much more meaningful direction than some of the other times we felt a deal has been close. At the very least, the president has said a deal is close. But again, the Iranians saying no deal until a deal is signed. Now, as we've been reporting, there's some suggestion that a deal could be signed potentially in Geneva, Switzerland, ahead of the G7 summit. Some are describing it as what will be called as the Islamabad Declaration, to nod to Pakistan's role in being a mediator in all of that. We've also seen a 14-point plan in which it deals with the Strait of Hormuz, how long these talks will be, and of course the fact that intense negotiations will then take place on Iran's nuclear program. We've heard all this before, Errol. Whether this is going to happen or not, we don't know. But again, the president's saying something is close, and Iran is saying no deal until we see it.
So that's the U.S. and Iranian positions, but what about Israel and other Gulf regions?
Well, for Israel, it's essentially this. Not our deal. They have made it very clear that their mission, their offensive in Lebanon is not tied to anything that the president is negotiating with Iran. You talk to Iran, they're saying, hang on a second, the basis of our deal is that the war in Iran, or rather in Lebanon, ends. That is the #1 point in the 14-point plan that Iran has put out. So there is this gulf here, and it's really up to President Trump to try to figure out a path forward. But if we widen the aperture a little bit more and look at other countries in the region, that of course is the Gulf. Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Abu Dhabi, Oman, all of these countries which were so badly hit, whose economies have effectively ground to a halt, it's very clear they want to see some sort of deal so that they can restart their economies and hopefully put this all behind them.
Yeah,
Errol.
Gulf region nations certainly want to see something happen. Imtiaz, thank you.